online coaching, consulting, service provider world is changing dramatically. At least I've noticed a few key shifts that I want to share with you in this video so that you can get ahead of the curve, position yourself rightly, and not waste your time doing old, outdated methods and strategies and marketing tactics that just aren't working. And above all, I believe these insights will really help you build your freedom business. So if you're new here, my name's Adam Lucky. I've been in this online coaching consulting agency space for the last 6 years. I run Freedom Creators, which is all about helping you, online business owners, create freedom businesses so you can live your free life. That can look like a lot of different things, but to me, that looks like 4-hour workdays, building a business that you love that is around your calling. So you have a sense of mission and purpose, but it's also not ever having to ask money for permission to do anything that you want to do. It looks like having the free time to spend with your kids, with the people you love, on hobbies and recreation. It's not all about sacrificing everything, to achieve the pinnacle of success. Not about that life. So here's a few insights that I believe will be tremendously helpful for you. Number one, you've probably noticed, but less hype. Less hype in all areas of your marketing and all areas of your business, right? That showed up a lot in like the flashy editing, for example, YouTube videos with every flashy scene, like trying to capture the attention of a 3-year-old, right? I have seen that the most successful YouTubers, not the most successful, but the ones that are making 100K a month, 200K a month, 90% margins, enjoying an audience, a small audience, but prints cash, those types of people, they're not doing the crazy editing and flashy stuff. It's just purely hopping on in an authentic manner and communicating in a way that is helpful, giving stuff that is helpful and not having to do all the crazy edits, which for me was a sigh of relief because I'd never really enjoyed the nonsense that you have to do to try to capture attention. You can just purely be yourself and communicate in a way that's authentic. So that's the shift I've seen, is just less hype, right? Less hype in your videos, less editing, which really makes sense because to me, enjoyable equals sustainable. When you think about creating content and you feel like you have to have all of your stuff together and all of your makeup done and have your editor edit the videos and spend $2,000 a month on an editor, like that's just not sustainable, at least not for me. I like to find things that are a little bit easier and turn it on the camera, turn on some lights, have an outline of what you want to talk about that is helpful, that is solving a problem, then you're in the game and it makes it easier and it's more fun as well. So enjoyable equals sustainable. It always reminds me of like, dude, do you have to struggle to go watch your favorite Netflix show? I remember Alex Hormozy talked about that when I was working with him, and he used that analogy to help us sell more gym memberships, more coaching, of basically finding a path of fitness that is enjoyable for you. And that always stuck out to me. So enjoyable equals sustainable. So I think that's good news. I think it removes a ton of obstacles in your mind when you go to create content, that it has to be perfect and shiny. No, it doesn't. It just has to solve a problem. We're not here to be entertainers. At least most of us aren't. We're here to educate people, to coach people through transformation, to better their lives. And that happens through good content and assuming your message is solid. So the second shift I've been seeing is the importance of building your personal brand. This is something I've really embraced within the last year. Before that, I was of the mind of just run ads, have a good offer, and sell people. That's what I did with my agency for the most part. Here's the offer, run ads straight to that offer, book a call, close the deal, give them to my team to handle the results, right? I had a cold client success manager, and that's cool. I had a little bit of freedom, but there was lacking the personal branding element where I'm creating content that showcases who I am, my worldview. It's educating people, using storytelling, all of these dynamics that we get from personal branding to really create a solid marketing system. I've noticed now on the other side of embracing creating content on a consistent basis is that sales is way easier. When people know, like, and trust you, it is way easier to sell them on your program, right? And that's what I believe 100% is, that your marketing, your branding, your personal brand should do the selling for you. At least the majority of the selling. It should sell people on who you are, your values, your worldview, your unique perspectives. All of this stuff matters. And that's how you really eliminate competition as well, because no one else has your story. No one else has your nuance. No one else has your unique story, the struggles, the internal struggles you went through, the external struggles you went through to obtain the transformation and the achievement And those are all a bunch of words that may not make sense to you, but you should read the books Story Brand by Donald Miller and Expert Secrets by Russell Brunson, because those books really helped me like dive into how to communicate your story, how to communicate your story in a way that relates to your perfect client. Right. And then in Donald Miller's book, he really takes some of the similar concepts, but he really says that you got to be the guide. You got to be the guide. You need to position yourself as the guide in your prospect's mind. And he says to contrast that, most business owners and marketers position themselves as the heroes. And there can only be one hero of any story. And the hero should not be you. The hero should be your client. The hero should be your audience. You need to position yourself as the guide, the person that's going to come along that has already experienced the transformation, the Yoda, the Morpheus to the Neo, because your clients and your audience is the Neo. When I made this shift and I started focusing on putting out content, it really changed the game for me. Like, it just made marketing and sales way easier. I mean, who would have thought, right? When people know, like, and trust you, they're already sold on your ideas and your ways of doing business, and they see you transparently. I don't know if I already said this already, but people buy coaches, not coaching. People buy from people. So I forget who says that. I didn't make that up, by the way, but it's an important statement that really drives home the fact that people need to see who you are, your character, what you're all about, right? Like, I'm overtly a Christian dude, and my worldview is very much the wisdom I obtained is biblical. And I like to teach from the Bible, I like to encourage from the Bible, because I believe God is the source of life, right? So I don't ever require people to believe what I believe, but that is a very strong dynamic of my personality, and it just shows up in all of my content. So, as to no surprise, people that sign up with me, oftentimes they're like, dude, I appreciate you put your faith out there. I'm like, I'm just being me, man. I'm not trying to overtly put my faith out there or whatever. It's just my goal is to be authentic. My goal is to communicate with stuff that has helped me. And if it's helped me, I'm sure it's going to help some other people out there that maybe think like I do. Turns out that's usually the case, right? As another example, is like one of my highest core values is freedom. Who would have thought with a brand called Freedom Creators that I would attract people of the same mind? Like, the clients I sign up, they're fathers, they have kids. They're not just trying to scale to the moon and work 8-10 hours a day. Like, they enjoy the message of leverage and creating a business that has lots of leverage so you can have time, free time to play with the kids, to enjoy your life. Like, those are all very important things to people in my world. And I hone in on those dynamics and go hard on those values, right? But that's didn't come overnight. This is why it's so important to like get into groups where you have intentional exercises to learn how to communicate and tell your story in a way that attracts people, that attracts your dream clients, which leads me into my next insight, which is really building a business that fuels your life. Like, there's a whole shift of people that are burnt out. They're doing the whole, some people call it bro scaler. I call them scale slaves. There's lots of names you can give and ascribe to this antagonist, I think you would call it. Protagonist, I don't know, whatever the word is to describe the opposite of what we're all about here at Freedom Creators. But it's someone that sacrifices everything. And so many people I've seen have been burnt out, spending lots of money on ads, having a huge team to manage, and they hit all of the milestones and the ClickFunnels 2 combo awards. And on the surface, it looks like they're crushing it. But deep down inside, they're stressed out of their mind. They're stressed out of their mind because they have no free time. They're on sales calls all day. They're running team meetings, and they think that is the goal. Like, that's the pinnacle of online business, is to hit the 2 Comma Club award. So you can show it off in your Stripe screenshots when you have like 10% margin. Okay. And that is, and I've just seen a lot of people shifting away from that. They're like burnt out and they come out the other side, born again. All right. Born again into this new way where they're building a business that they love around their core values, or it's not around, some YouTube influencer telling you what you should want, but they're removing the barriers, they're removing the false identities that have caused them to try to build a business in a way that is just not sustainable and it's not fun or enjoyable. So I believe there's this shift to building businesses based on your passion that you can actually, especially this day and age with YouTube, with ads, you can attract people that are just like you, and you can actually build a business where you're solving problems that you want to solve, right? If you have a painful problem and then you can solve it really well, you can build a business and you can get paid amazingly. You can make 6 and 7 figures online, 70% margins, doing something that you love. which was very hard for me to. I mean, early on, like I felt kind of naive, like, yeah, I'm gonna just do what I love to do, and I'm gonna get paid for it. And I realized that is a lot harder, and I actually had a lot of skills I needed to acquire first, and that's why I started a gym because I'm like, hey, might as well help people with their fitness, and I want to own a business, so let's just do this. And then 9 years later, I started a marketing agency where I took those skills that I learned of running my business, my gym, with the paid ads and the marketing skills, packaged that up and started helping other gym owners. But there came a time in my business, my marketing agency career, where that was just no longer enjoyable. And I was solving problems in the way that I didn't want to solve anymore, like doing done for you service. Like I was burnt out on that model, doing that model specifically with no personal branding, with no authenticity. It just became lifeless. And a lot of people get caught in this trap where we just try to scale out of our pain, right? We try to keep going, keep pushing through for the proverbial carrot dangling in front of our faces, where maybe 5 years from now, I'll be able to sell the business and retire, right? So you just keep enduring more of the hard stuff. And this is where it gets kind of tricky because it's like, yeah, we got to do hard shit. Yeah, we got to do things we don't like to do. But overall, overarching, it's like your business should be fueled by purpose. It should be fueled by mission. We are excited to help a certain people group. Right? Those things should align. Right. And it may not happen it may not happen instantaneously. It may take a little while, like it did for me. It wasn't until last year where I made some key shifts where I aligned who I'm working with. I started going all in. Like I really am passionate about helping people like myself, online creators, right? Solving problems, delivering the solutions to those problems through content, through consulting, through coaching, through courses. That's where I made the shift, and my fulfillment has went through the roof. I feel aligned with calling, with destiny. I wake up and I know that I'm doing good work compared to 2 years ago where I was just running my agency, just trying to make sales. And it was very transactional and it was kind of void of heart and soul. So ultimately, know that you can build a business that you love, that you enjoy, where you're solving problems you like to solve, where you're working with people you enjoy working with, where you're delivering the solution to those problems in a way that you like to deliver those solutions. The question no longer has to be like, what business model is just going to make me the most amount of money? Like people are starting to think deeper about their quality of life and that their business should actually serve their life. The next big shift that I absolutely love is really the disappearing lines around modalities, meaning agency owner, identity. I'm an agency owner, or I'm a coach, or I'm a consultant, or I'm a mentor. These identity statements are not helpful. And thankfully, I'm seeing the trend disappear where, like I said earlier, people are starting to see themselves as holistic leaders, aspirational leaders, people that are perceived and positioned as the guide. And you can solve those problems in a variety of different ways. Like I can serve my one audience, my specific avatar, and I can help them with done for you services if I like to. I can help them with courses. I can help them through coaching, consulting, and mentoring. Like those are all just modalities. They're all just mechanisms and ways to facilitate the transformation. But building a business based on just being an agency owner, like for example, that was my story. I just saw myself as an agency owner, and that meant that I could only do and provide done for you services. And that kept me boxed in and caused me to not want to build personal brand because I didn't want to be known as like the gym marketing guy. Right. So these identity statements really are disappearing. And maybe this is the first you've heard about it, but I believe that's the best way to build a business is simply positioning yourself as a guide that can help them from point A to point B. And you can solve those problems in a variety of different ways without being too complex. And you can have it packaged up very nicely where it flows smoothly because you don't want to have all these complex offers. That'll make things not easy, not simple scales, right? So these hard and fast lines have been blurred, and for good reason. No longer do we have to fall into the identity trap of just being a coach or just being an agency owner. You can be whatever you want to be, and you can build a personal brand that you can build a model, a container around your services, around your coaching, your mentoring. And it doesn't have to be so uptight. It doesn't have to be so stiff and rigid. It allows for flexibility. That's like really one of the main benefits is you can be flexible. You can change up the way you provide solutions. if it's no longer suiting you and your lifestyle and your season of life, which are all factors you should consider. Another huge thing is really the lack of trust in the marketplace. If you're doing business online, then you've probably experienced this, but a lot of people have been burned. And a lot of people have been burned by the crazy guarantees, the false promises, the hype, the outrageous claims, and for good reason. They are not trusting of people like you trying to sell them stuff. I mean, this was my experience. I was a victim, not a victim. I willingly chose to go down that route of using crazy guarantees, and you're going to get 30 clients in 30 days, stuff like that, when I was running my marketing agency. And we fell into that trap. And it caused a lot of heartache. It caused a lot of stress in the business. Like, sure, it captured attention and it worked back then. And I'm sure it still works at some level, especially if you can really fulfill the guarantee. But the hype and the outrageous claims, I think, are more repelling nowadays more than ever, especially if you're in a sophisticated market, meaning people are very aware of your tactics, like online coaching space. People are very aware. They've seen all of the hype. They've seen all of the crazy guarantees. And the shift I see is more towards, really, once again, it ties back into personal branding, which builds that trust. Community. That's why school is so great, because you can gather people in a community of like-minded individuals that help each other out. Then you can help them out, and you're really seen as a community facilitator. And then you're making promises that are realistic because they're easier to keep. And that eliminates the potential of let down expectations, right? People being let down. You promise the world, you under deliver. It's better to under promise and over deliver. And I think that's a huge shift that I've made, that I've seen a lot of people make, is they're not promising to make 10K in 10 days or other crazy stuff like that. Being a little more honest about the journey that's ahead and realistic expectations, I think that's going to serve the industry as a whole way more than just the fluff and the hype. And ultimately, people are going to trust you more for that. You're going to capture a larger share of the marketplace compared to competition that is still hypey, doing all the crazy stuff that just repels. So those are some of the major shifts that I've seen in those who are willing to adapt to this new way of doing things. That really going to enjoy life. They're really going to build businesses that have massive impact, and they're going to enjoy it because they're working with people they love and they're solving problems they are called to solve, that they're gifted to solve. And you're building your freedom life. So hope that helps, that resonates. Comment below. What are some of your insights and what are some of your questions? See you in the next video.